339 days. And we have breaking news today. Um, we were a little suspicious, and now we have confirmed it. So let me see if I'm on. Everyone can see it looks like I'm on. Very good. Okay. Let's see if I should raise this chair a little bit. No. Okay. It's a new chair. All right. Thank you so much. Turn this down. I know it's late. It's a busy day. Tomorrow is, we're getting close. We're going to be burning the midnight oil. It's 11:37 here. And we'll have Palm Sunday. And Palm Sunday is the day when the people were fickle. They were very fickle. They were just in awe of our Lord, rightfully so, and waving their flag. Their flag were the palm leaves, and they were waving the flag of freedom, the palm of freedom, for, it's, and what do I mean that, this is such a great lesson every year, the lesson is, freedom comes with responsibility, and we can't be fickle. We have to stand up, and when our King of Kings is riding through, and we're waving our flags of freedom, which at that time were the palm leaves, we can't just a few days later call for his death, unjustly so, unjustly condemn a person and stand by and unjustly let that kind of crime go forward and not say anything. And as time went on, of course, the people, they suffered greatly in AD 70, and then eyes were open and people became very brave, and they went forth and they preached the word, and it just it made an amazing impact on the entire world, that I could just love to go into. But we're here to talk about standing for justice for Richard. And today was a really big day. And so where this is all leading, the level of organized crime, the level of harassment and threats, and people is just, it's just crazy. And it's not just us. It's not just our family. Think about Glendon Oakley Jr. The video of Asia Graham, her joining the military, the video of Glendon Oakley Jr., the two videos of Glendon Oakley Jr., the day of August 3rd, 2019, the Walmart mass shooting, and his peace. Okay. Yes, he was, really saving kids and acting like a soldier, but he was in peace with being a soldier, doing what was right, helping those children, talking to CNN, telling Wolf Blitzer about these mall cops. Well, people dressed in black, right? People dressed in black with M4s, telling the truth about it. And then, he was at peace with his life, with being a, a person doing what is right and speaking up without any qualms. Absolutely, that day, watching that video, watching him react the way he reacted. I've watched it, I don't know how many times. And then the next day, him being in total confusion, no peace there. Not because of the Walmart mass shooting, it was because of the injustices that were just coming at him. Absolutely, the harassment. And he says it on the camera. And you could just feel it in him. I mean, he starts to cry. There's no peace. There's only conflict there. And the conflict comes from the injustices that he was suffering. And, when you see something like that, and when you hear the story of Asia Graham, and everything that has gone on with that being the mother of Richard Halliday, having privilege of speaking with so many of these people, and hearing their story, then you realize that it's not just you. It's not just Team Find Richard Halliday that is victims of the harassment, the lies, the manipulations, the major crimes, the violation of our rights, all the violations against Richard, taking of his life, attempting to take away his peace. All of our peace, you see, they're taking that away. And that day, when you realize that, then, for us, we take a stand. And so these daily live streams is our way, to pace ourselves into not only searching and the investigation, but also taking a stand for what is right and not being fickle, right? Just staying true to that search and that investigation, the search and the investigation. And not trying to get too emotional in it, which is very, very difficult, especially after a day like today, when the case is just being broken. Just, so it breaks here and it breaks there and it breaks here with every bit, Operation Hansel and Gretel, morsel by morsel by morsel. And the lies can only take so much stress, and then they shatter. See, the truth is so strong, so flexible even, it can just withstand the worst type of pressure. But lies are brittle. And, you just have to take a stand against it and be very patient. And with every little truth that comes out, it puts pressures on the lie, and the lie will shatter. And today there was a big crack. And I'm going to talk about, of course, there's so much to talk about, because we can talk about the body cam video every day, right? Because that is a big, big deal. That is a huge deal because that was the foundation uh, that was used, an unjust foundation, a manipulated foundation to destroy Richard, not only physically, but mentally and also professionally. And when a man is being attacked professionally, you know, you have to have a strong mental sense of who you are. And praise God, I really believe that Richard did to stand up against them. Um, but of course, with this evil leadership, um, they did take Richard's life. And, is that a reason to cower in fear against these murderers? Well, not for us, because who is their next victim? Who will be their next victim? And, you know, um, what I'm about to tell you right now about Representative Veronica Escobar is really important because she represents Fort Bliss. She represents El Paso, a huge part of El Paso, not completely, but she absolutely represents a huge part of El Paso and Fort Bliss. And what I'm about, and we knew, and we have known, that she's totally up to no good, like William Timmons, like Lindsey Graham. But Veronica Escobar is really up to no good. Absolutely up to no good. And seems to now have a history beyond us, beyond Team Farm Richard Halliday, beyond Richard, but that affected Richard. And what do I mean? In 2014, Mario Raskin Ortiz was appointed. I think that's a good, appointed to be the chief medical examiner for El Paso. And that requires the approval of the county commissioners, the El Paso County Commissioners. And that is presided over by the county commissioner's judge, and that judge was Veronica Escobar. So Veronica Escobar presided over the county commissioner's approval of Mario Raskin Ortiz as the chief medical examiner, which is a judicial position. It is a judicial branch of our government because not very many people in their positions can write up a subpoena and write up a warrant, but the chief medical examiner can. And so this is not just, a simple appointment. This is one that requires, looking at many different applicants, looking at their forensics experience, which Mario Raskin Ortiz, on his own LinkedIn, shows that he's lacking that forensics expertise. And yet, he was appointed. And that position, because it's so important, because it's part of the judicial branch, he has to be, and not every position in our government you have to be an American citizen. You can have a visa, right? Not every position. Many people come into the military and they're not American citizens, and they're on a visa and they work to get their citizenship. But when it comes to the judicial branch of government, when it comes to the chief medical examiner of El Paso, it is required by the Texas Constitution that you have an American citizenship. Okay? So he, at that time, and from what we know, he still does not have his American citizenship. Maybe, but at that time he didn't. That should have disqualified him right away. And what is very interesting, we're getting some reports that there are conflicts of interest between Veronica Escobar and Mario Rescan Ortiz. There are conflicts of interest. And, there's so much nepotism in all of this. There are so many conflicts of interest in all of this, which creates so much tampering, manipulation, because people are giving everybody favors, and they know, and they have these loyalties that are outside of the loyalty of defending the Constitution. And it just causes so much, let's just say, stumbling blocks into organized criminal activity. And there are conflicts of interest. Not only, this is the information that we're getting, so please, Veronica Escobar, Representative Veronica Escobar, you can correct us. But it seems like you have some close relationships going on with Mario Rescan Ortiz. That was a conflict of interest of his appointment. And his appointment seems to be an illegal appointment, because seems to be he was not an American citizen at the time. And that now, if everything that we're saying, that we have found out is true, then all these cases, including the Walmart mass shooting case, including Richard Halliday's case, are botched. Now, that is obstructing justice to all the families of these victims and the victims themselves. This is how serious this is. And why is this important for our son's case? Well, because we have information that Mario Rescan Ortiz handled our son's remains. Not once, but twice. Once in El Paso and once in Mexico at Semifo, in Chihuahua, in Juarez. And so, was he there in Semifo? Was he handling remains there? That's a good question, because we're getting that he was appointed at Semifo in Chihuahua, Mexico in 2018. So, double dipping. I would like to fact check that. I would like that fact checked. Because this involves handling our son's remains twice. and the case being tampered with. And tampered with, starting with Representative Veronica Escobar as a judge of the presiding over the Commissioner's Court in 2014, appointing Mario Raskin Ortiz as chief medical examiner. And if I was a family member of a victim of what happened at Walmart, or another victim in that time, and this includes in Juarez, because Juarez right now is absolutely out of control with murders. Out of control. I don't know how you feel, but I don't like this. We're a victim's family, and it means that we have to speak up when something is not right. I think that is a heavy duty for families, but it has to be done. It has to be done. We don't have a choice. Otherwise, we're neither hot nor cold. We're just lukewarm. We're just lukewarm. We're feral. And yeah, with Palm Sunday being tomorrow, this is amazing to have this lesson at a time when we're reaching the point. I mean, of course, we've been calling out the generals, right? We've been calling out Dallas Hart. We've been calling out James Courtney Hart. We've been calling out Leilani Hart. We've been calling out Felix Valenzuela. We've been calling out Danae Katzen and Belen Rocha. But now we're calling out a U.S. congressional representative. And, there's history there because we met with her. We met with her twice. There's let's just say we knew that she was up to no good. And that confused us. Why is this woman, healthy woman, in a very privileged situation, should be honored to represent the people of El Paso and Fort Bliss, the veterans. Why is she up to no good? Why is she up to no good? She gets plenty of pay, plenty of perks, plenty of perks. And why is she up to no good? She can't honorably represent the people of El Paso and the service members at Fort Bliss and the veterans in the area. That was our experience, is that she was up to no good. Dangerously up to no good. Okay? And now, think about it. Thwarting the statutes of the Texas Constitution. Why did she do that? Because to do that is to hinder every case that he touches. And if this is true, that he was appointed in 2018 to the CEMAFO in, I hope I'm saying that right, in Chihuahua, Mexico, which is the medical examiner's office there. Is that a conflict of interest? I think the Department of State, the whole visa, the explain it. This all needs a good investigation and calls to us explaining these autopsy reports, the intelligence saying he handled Richard's remains twice, and Veronica Escobar. Because don't tell me she didn't know who he is. She has a long history. She has a long history. And so do others. And the connection with Mario Raskin Ortiz with 3905 Bliss Avenue, which means that's Danae Katzen. And that, our reports are that address is connected to William Beaumont Army Medical Center for Mortuary Affairs. And, you know, all of this could be answered in a simple phone call, a simple email. We tried to get the answers from Judge Robert Shook who is the judge there at Fort Bliss at the time, and received no response. No response. Why not? Why not? Because for General Eisenhower or Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, both of them are so crooked, y'all. They need to be arrested. They need to have their uniforms stripped from them, their stars stripped from them. They have betrayed us. And they have left Fort Bliss unprotected. The security is breached. And now with just a few days ago, with people breaching our border, and then calls of racism or something, and I'm like, excuse me, have you looked at our country? Our country is not racist. No. Sorry. Go look at other places. Do some history lesson. America is absolutely, I think, the least racist country I've ever been to, lived in, and it happens to be my country. Thank you. So, but when people are storming the border, and that was a storming the border, and our military installation that is in walking distance away is unsecure, the security is breached, and we have weapons flying everywhere. I mean, okay, I shouldn't say flying. They're going to make a meme of flying weapons. But the weapons are everywhere. Even after the audit, the weapons are everywhere. We have reports. And, so you have an unsecure installation, these weapons that are not registered, that their serial numbers have been, with the gunsmith kind of erased and manipulated. Everything's manipulated, right? And then you have a breach on the border of massive people coming in and worried about their own security. Um, we're not allowed to worry about our own security, but they're worried about their security. Yeah, those weapons are at risk, and our military is at risk, and our volunteer sons and daughters are at risk, and our country is at risk. I mean, it's as simple as that. So if this is orchestrated, maybe this is orchestrated because we know that our military's leadership, the military leadership, is up to no good. So I know that from January 6th because on January 5th, military leadership, Donna Martin, contacted us to tell us not to go to Washington, D.C. So if they knew that there was a risk the next day, why didn't they send in the National Guards like President Trump had asked, like had given approval for? Why didn't Donna Martin, as a defender of the Constitution, call up, being a general, I believe a 2-star general at the time, call up the media and say, wait a minute, something's going to happen, things are not right, and we're not getting protection for our capital the way President Trump has authorized. Why didn't she do that? Because she found it necessary to contact us. Didn't she find it necessary to tell the American people? To tell all of those people, the million people that were with us there on January 6th? And so the investigation, the search and the investigation into Richard, because she was CID, that's why she contacted us. She was Dirty Agent Marlon Soto's boss. She was Dirty Tavita Nusa having his adulterous affair, betraying his own family, betraying the Hart family for sexual pleasure because of the sexual cult that has come into our military, where there needs to be honor and integrity and esprit de corps. How can you have esprit de corps when you're having adulterous affairs everywhere and nothing is done about it? And then people are like, oh my gosh, there was a breach in the CID and with the files in the CID. Leilani Hart was given unauthorized access to tamper with CID files, Richard Halliday's being one, because her son, Dallas Hart, was Richard's platoon leader. And Donna Martin was Tavita Nusa's boss. And that was going on. And it was going on for a while because Leilani Hart, as reports have been given to us, was bragging that she ran the CID office on Fort Bliss. And she did some nasty things at Park University too. And we have notified Park University for a long time, um, wanting open records and everything. And, what's going on with Park University right now? It seems it seems like there's some truth in the reports that we were given. It seems like there's a lot of truth coming out right now, and it's cracking the lies. It's cracking the lying narratives. And of course, the body cam footage of the traffic stop in a parking lot by Ken K9 cop was a setup, was a frame, because a K9 cop doesn't make a traffic stop at midnight in a parking lot. So there's some other things that are coming out, but I think that this, uh, you can tell, you can tell that there are so many facets to this case. But we're not just moving on from one to the other. Please don't, if I don't mention Nadal Baim, the FBI agent that on October 26th walked into a Dollar General to tell everyone that, on camera, hey, camera, that the FBI had been looking for in 5 places for Richard's remains, and they found him, and he's dead, and they found him in Juarez, Mexico. Whereas why we followed that information, because if the FBI found Richard's remains in Mexico, then a medical examiner would have to determine the cause of death, would have to examine our son's remains. And that Mario Rascon Ortiz, we are being told, was also working there at Semifo in Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico, is a little wowzer after being appointed in a judicial position as chief medical examiner with the help aid of our State Department for the visa, right? And what kind of visa did he get? There's all these questions, but with the help of Veronica Escobar, who's supposed to be looking after the well-being of the court, the commissioner's court, right? That they were following the law, and he's not even an American citizen. And please, if you are an immigrant, a legal immigrant, like my mother, like my grandparents, all my grandparents, do not think that this is a slight on immigration. It's not. It's the law. Texas Constitution requires that a judicial officer, like a chief medical examiner, has an American citizenship, because they are part of the legal system. They issue subpoenas and warrants. They're part of the judicial system. It's a very, very important part of it. So just because we don't mention everything with every live stream doesn't mean we've moved on. We haven't just moved on. We are, this is multifaceted, and it's like holding a diamond in your hand, this amazing jewel, and turning it, and showing you one facet, then turning it and showing you another facet. And we're working those facets behind the scenes. We're all these parts of this case. Just because we haven't talked about August 3rd, 2019, the mall cops with the M4s, the brown tip bullets. There's Leilani Hart, all roads lead to Leilani Hart, because we're not talking about Dreams Cabaret or Ernest Christopher Grant. Donna Sifford. Just because we're not talking about that, you know, doesn't mean that we've moved on. They're all very, very important parts of Richard's case. And just because we haven't talked about Michael Ruggiero lately, or Donna, Deborah Sarah West, Corinne Adeline West, I mean, this has so many different facets that that it's organized crime. That that there is something really big when it comes to Richard's case happening and the connections with it. Because we have to talk about the DA's office or the AG's office or, all the different leads that we have looked into, and all of our time being going over to Juarez and meeting different people over there, and the search on kilometer 29, and dealing with Veronica Escobar, and so many others. So I just want to assure you that, every day it's like breaking news, because there's a different facet. But we're working on it. And please pray. Please pray that it'll break even more. That the lies will break even more. That the manipulation will break even more. And that the truth will be exposed more and more. Because the longer this goes on, the more people get hurt. And, so just, it's all in God's timing. And thank you so much for sticking with us. And, contact your congressman. This is a time to really act, because things are breaking. So this is a time to really act, really contact all the law enforcement, because, you can say, but why bother? They're no good. Why bother? Because even the widow gets justice from the unjust judge, right? Even the widow. Okay, that means someone that has no protection, is very vulnerable. So even a person that is very vulnerable gets justice from an unjust judge by being persistent, by telling the truth over and over and over and over again. And Richard, he's a brave heart. He's a distinguished honor graduate. He's a whistleblower. He's a Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier. He's a saint for the children. So we just have to keep telling the truth. I hope everyone has a beautiful morning tomorrow on Palm Sunday. And I will be back. I will be back. Thank you so much. God bless you. And please share, comment, and like.